The young mother admits to killing her 59-year-old husband, but claims it was in self-defense, with her attorney telling a jury she was in fear for her life when she was forced to shoot him. A ballet dancer is on trial for the death of her wealthy husband, accused of killing him just so she could be a single mother. That was the argument of the prosecution in the case against 32-year-old Ashley Benefield, who has admitted that she killed her 59-year-old husband, Douglas Benefield, on September 27, 2020. Benefield's defense attorney, Neil Taylor, painted different pictures for jurors in the courtroom earlier this week during opening statements in what's been dubbed the Black Swan murder trial. She was in fear for her life when she was forced to shoot him, Neil argued. But the prosecution says the evidence of the crime scene paints a different picture of what happened, and evidence going back even further paints a different picture of Ashley Benefield than the defense is presenting. This case is about a woman who very early on in her pregnancy decided she wanted to be a single mother, argued Assistant State Attorney Suzanne O'Donnell. She would stop at nothing to obtain that goal. On September 27, 2020, when police arrived at the scene to find his body on the bedroom floor, Ashley said that he'd tried to attack her and that's why she shot him. But prosecutors argued with forensic evidence that Douglas was facing away from Ashley when she shot him for the first of 3 times. Based on entry wounds on Douglas, it does not appear that he was facing Ashley when she began shooting, the Manatee County Sheriff's Office said in an affidavit received by the New York Post. It also does not appear that Douglas had taken any kind of defensive or combative stance. He was not found to have any weapons on his person or near him, the affidavit continued. Its conclusion: detectives found no evidence that she was acting in self-defense when she fired multiple shots at her husband. On Thursday, the state presented text messages as part of the closure of their arguments. In preparation of a move from Florida to Maryland, the messages showed a couple working peacefully together, discussing packing boxes and furniture. Douglas' final message to his wife was "Trucker on the way." That message came at 5:32 p.m. on September 27, 2020. According to Ashley, it was shortly after this that she claimed she shot her husband in self-defense. The defense argued that the cooperative nature of the messages was indicative of an abused woman's fear. Taylor argued, "Here we have in her quiet, most private moment. What is she doing 5 months before the shooting? She is searching for how to get along with an abusive ex-spouse." The judge, however, disallowed those searches from being shown to the jury, saying they were hearsay per WUFT. After the prosecution rested its case on Thursday, Ashley's defense will start on Friday morning. Ashley and Douglas first met in 2016 at a GOP fundraiser in Palm Beach when she was 24 years old. A trained dancer, Ashley shared her aspirations to open her own ballet company. 2 weeks after they met, the couple was married and he was funding her studio. According to the prosecution, things took a turn when the money started to run out and Ashley Ballet Company faltered. An ensuing divorce battle turned ugly with allegations of infidelity on both sides and abuse. While they were only married for 4 years, Ashley filed allegations of abuse against Douglas multiple times, including a story that he'd shot a gun at the ceiling to shut her up, that he'd kicked their dog unconscious, and that he'd even tried to poison her while she was pregnant. Throughout the trial, it was revealed that the couple was estranged when their daughter, now 6, was born, with Doug only find out she'd given birth when she filed a restraining order against him, per WUFT. According to an attorney Douglas had hired in an effort to be a part of his child's birth culminated in a meeting between the two when the baby was 6 months old and Ashley's abrupt decision to go with Douglas. A judge previously found no evidence of abuse by Douglas in relation to these allegations, the NY Post reported. The prosecution argued that all of this was part of a calculated strategy by the defendant to gain sole custody of their child. And when that didn't work, she took even more extreme measures. They enjoyed a period of reconciliation after that, per the outlet, until Ashley shot and killed her husband in September 2020. If you are experiencing domestic violence, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or go to thehotline.org. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. Calls are confidential and toll-free. The trial has now ended and here is the update. Ex-ballerina Ashley Benefield was found guilty of manslaughter Tuesday in a Florida county court, ending the Black Swan murder trial. The 6-person jury, made up of 5 women and 1 man, returned to the Manatee County courtroom with the guilty verdict after 7 hours of deliberations. Manslaughter was a lesser offense than the second-degree murder. Ashley Benefield, 32, was charged with after she shot her husband, Doug Benefield, on Sept. 27, 2020. She could face 30 years in prison. Her sentencing is set for October 22, 2024. The former ballerina said she shot him in self-defense and argued that the case should be thrown out based on Florida's Stand Your Ground law. But Manatee County Judicial Center Judge Matt White rejected the argument, and on July 23 the trial began. Nearly 4 years after her husband was shot and killed, and a week after the trial began, the verdict was read out in a mostly empty courtroom where the victim's family filled the gallery. The jury found that Ashley Benefield possessed a firearm and discharged the gun, and that firing the gun resulted in Doug Benefield's death. After she was found guilty, the clicking of handcuffs being placed around her wrists echoed in the mostly silent courtroom. The sound was as good as the sight, Doug Benefield's cousin Tommy Benefield said to media following the verdict. He added that the sound and sight were beautiful. What led up to the shooting? On the afternoon of Sept. 27, 2020, Doug Benefield arrived at Ashley's Manatee County home with a U-Haul truck to help pack for a move to Maryland. Doug Benefield was under the impression that he, his wife, and his daughter would move there together, although Doug would live separately, according to court documents and previous testimony. Ashley's defense attorney, Neil Taylor, told jurors that frustrations mounted as the couple packed, and it escalated into an argument. Doug got physical, body-checking Ashley with a box, blocking her from leaving a room and following her into her bedroom, where she grabbed a gun, said Taylor. Doug advanced toward her, and she fired the gun. However, the prosecution argued that Ashley Benefield killed her husband to prevent him from learning that she had no intention of reconciling their marriage and that her goal was to be a single mother. Witnesses outside the home told investigators they heard about 6 gunshots and, some 30 seconds later, saw Ashley run out of the house toward a neighbor's home with a gun still in her hand, screaming and crying. Throughout their marriage, the couple experienced a tumultuous relationship involving domestic abuse allegations against Doug Benefield, marriage counseling, and a string of litigation in both South Carolina and Florida, where Ashley Benefield had moved to live with her mother after becoming pregnant in 2017. In her motion to dismiss the case, Ashley Benefield claimed her husband was abusive and volatile, regularly carrying a loaded weapon and once firing a gun into their kitchen ceiling to intimidate her.